Welcome back, everybody. Derek Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about a subject that is very personal to me and also concerning for a lot of you out there. And that subject is age. And a lot of it, as you know, last month I turned 63. I also have a lot of friends who are turning 60, 70, and even 80. And whether you have a religious background, an atheist, or an agnostic, it makes no difference as to what your beliefs are, because eventually death comes knocking at our door. And I want to talk about that for just a moment, because a lot of my friends, this past week, I've been hearing a lot of conversations about, like myself. I'm at a point where uh, we know that death will come knocking at our door, and it's going to happen. You can't get out of life alive. I told my dad that back in the 90s. Is he was at a point where he needed to get his affairs in order. My mother was had already passed, and it was a real mess being assigned the conservator for, or not conservator, but the executor for my mother's estate, because my father decided that he didn't want to be the executor, the demands of being an executor, and so there was a lot of things there. And so one of the things that I really encourage all of my friends who are in my situation, where we're slowly walking towards death's door, and I don't fear it. In fact, I've been expecting death to show up at my door for decades. In fact, I never expected to go beyond 40 years of age, with my career choice. And so that's how dangerous my work was. But I also have some insights for you as to why I think the way I do. Uh, and so let's get started. And what I want to first of all do is encourage everyone, everyone, to get your affairs in order, no matter what your age is. And what I want you to do, what I encourage you to do, is seek out a family law attorney. Family law attorneys are very important, and that's one of the first steps to creating a will, a living trust, or something else. And so these are instruments that will carry on in the event, or when that event happens, that you are no longer in this realm. And so by getting your affairs in order, number one, it avoids probate. And probate is a horrible place to go to, because a lot of things can happen in probate. And one of the things that does happen in probate, it gives an opportunity for creditors to come forward and place claims against that um, uh, fortune that the person may have had at the time, or uh, how to move forward with closing out their affairs. Number one, what to do with the remains of the person, because that would be listed in the directives that would be created by the family law attorney. So, number one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that upon the death of a person, all their assets are immediately frozen for at least 45 days, or until a court releases, decides to move ahead. But that 45-day period, this is one of the most important things. You don't want to have that will or trust paperwork in a safe deposit box in the bank, because those are sealed. And if you need those documents, you cannot get them. You cannot access them for the first 45 days. That's the law, period. No questions. There's nothing you can do. Those are sealed for 45 days. You cannot access the funds. You cannot access the credit. The credit is automatically going to be shut off really quick. So those are important documents to have on hand. My uncle, Bob, who passed away shortly after my mother, he made sure that those documents were in my hands 1 month prior to him leaving this world. And what I managed to do was put his affairs in order, put together his finances for the probate court, because I also was assigned to be his executor when he passed away. So at the same time, I was dealing with two estates, and it was a very difficult point in my life. There was a lot of controversy. There was a lot of court, and these are things that can be tied up for years. I mean, literally years, without a will or a trust. With a will or trust, things move forward very quickly and very efficiently, and without the interference of the probate court. And the probate court can also remove and assign, if the executor does a poor job or does things illegally, the court can reassign a court conservator or executor, a court-appointed executor to that estate. And then that's when things really go off the rails, because things don't go the way that the family or you want it to go. It never does. And then also the amount of fees and things that get absorbed by, number one, that assigned executor, because he doesn't do it for free. They don't work for free. They have a very high cost. And so that takes thousands and thousands of dollars away from the estate of the decedent. And so it's important to have that will and that trust in place so that you can avoid the probate court. That's number one. Number two, your assets. How do you want your assets divided up? If you have a business, is the business to continue, or is it to be sold off or shut down? So those are instructions that would be part of the will and trust, or trust. And these are matters that can really either divide a family or bring a family together. And in most cases, it's the vultures of your family that really come out. And it is absolutely ugly. The nicest, prettiest, and the best people turn ugly. I saw it personally myself. And it's astounding, the bickering and fighting that goes on over the decedent's bones. And so that's why you really want to have a trust and will in place, and the instructions as to how it's divided up. And if any of those vultures are to get a portion of your estate, you assign that. You outline that. And the lawyers that oversee your trust and will make sure that those are carried out. And so those are all real important. Also, the other thing is that whether you're an atheist, agnostic, or a believer, it matters not, because death comes to us all. And one of the things I want to talk about here, this is where the personal part comes into play, because I've been to the other side, and not through a near-death experience. I thought it was a near-death experience, but it was not a near-death experience. And one of the things that I want to talk about, why I want to share this with you, to give you hope that there is more after this life, and that I don't fear death. I have not ever feared death, because I've already, at an early point in my life, I was able to leave this realm for a little bit. And let me tell you, it's really interesting. And I'm going to sum this up as to how visually to encompass this. And think of a small mirror that you have in your hand, and what you see in the mirror, that is your life, and you are restricted by the confines of that mirror. Now, if you drop that mirror and it broke, now you have broken free of those confines for this world. Let me tell you, something that I found on outside of this realm is that time is a limitation and does not exist outside of this mirror, of your mirror. Time does not exist, because early on, in fact, March of 1988, I was able to view my entire life from start to finish in a short time span. But one of the things that makes things different is that we have markers along our life that direct us, and how you know those markers, those are your deja vu moments. Your deja vu moments, because somewhere in your past, or as part of your future, that is the road sign to tell you that you're on the right path, that you're going down the right road, or it could be a warning sign that you're on the wrong path. And so one of the things that we need to do here is figure out what our goal, our journey is about. And I know what my journey is. And one of the things when I came back to this realm back in 1988, the creator of the universe has put in place things to remove those memories, so that you don't physically and mentally completely remember. You have some foggy ideas, and then when you achieve those deja vu moments begin to appear to let you know that you're on the right path. And for those that aren't on the right path, like a lot of the criminals, let me tell you, that movie Groundhog Day is there for a reason. And if you've been to the other side, you'll learn that, because one of the things that I kind of saw and that I learned from my visit to the other side was that those groundhog moments are learning moments, and those are your crossroads. And if you don't make the right selections at your crossroads, your sudden demise as a criminal will come back. You circle back around to redo that life. We don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know how, but it comes back around. And so you relive those groundhog moments, And at that moment, the moment that you didn't learn the lesson and that your life ends, you have a deja vu moment before you shuffle off and wait back in line to return to try that again. I've seen this. And on the other hand, for those of you that complete your goal or your quest, you move on because you have learned those lessons. And you carry on to the next life, wherever that may be. It could be anywhere. And for those of you, yes, I do have a religious background. I was brought up in the Baptist church. I know a lot of people that are very, very religious and still struggle with this vision. And the vision for a lot of folks, you'll never be able, or you'll never encounter the experience that I encountered, because I didn't experience it just once. I experienced it again at a crossroad, another crossroad in my life, and it put me back on the path that kept me alive. And that crossroad, through all the years from 1988, the next crossroad was 2009 with my suicide attempt, because I was so depressed, I was so sad, and also my life had drastically taken a nosedive, and what to me appeared to be a spiral, out of control dive into death, actually opened up and made me realize that I was taking the wrong path through suicide, and that it showed me, it literally took me back to where I started, in the natural realm, not here on earth, but my plan, my goal. It showed me everything. It showed me I was able to visually see my entire life start to finish. While I don't recall how my finish is going to come about, but I know that I don't fear it, because I've done what I've set out to do in this life. And for those of you that are agnostic, who don't know, I'm not sure if there is an afterlife or not, I can assure you that there is an afterlife. There is another life after this passing. And so a lot of my folks, my friends who are fearing their death, because we're slowly walking towards death's door right now. And I'm at 63, and I've been told that I won't see 70. I have friends who had just turned 60 to 70, and now they're very concerned about what lies ahead for them, because they're starting to get the physical ability, your physical abilities start to diminish. My physical abilities have diminished significantly from when I was in my career to now. Also, my health has taken a huge change and a drastic turn through the cancer. Also, I'm also battling and maintaining some other contaminants from the environment that I lived in. And so we're waiting for that lawsuit to move forward, and many other things. And so I put in place all the instruments to carry on. Even if I suddenly drop dead in this video right now, my final resting place is already assured, and my affairs here on this world will be taken care of by my legal staff. And so you don't need to have a legal staff. You just need the actual instruments and the legal instruments in place to carry on your wishes and to carry on your legacy. I have my legacy already being laid out. We're putting the final touches on this right now, and we're hoping to have everything up and running, and then we'll be talking about everything here in the coming year as to what the plans are and how I'm moving forward. As I came into some money from my community advocacy here, and so that money is now coming in to a fund that we have set aside so that it's collecting that for the work that lies ahead. And that work that lies ahead will be through the foundation, my 501c3, and also I have a trust inside of that to protect me and to protect the money that continues to come in and will continue to come in for the next 7 years. But getting back to the other side, I also visited, like I said, through my suicide attempt. It wasn't through a death experience, but it was me being recalled back to the other side, and to remind me of what is going to lie ahead. And what's interesting, everything that I'm doing right now was a reminder back in 2009 that my journey was not over. I had yet to even start the journey at that point. And now that I'm closing in, nearing the completion of the task, the assignment that I started out and that I had laid out decades ago, is now coming to fruition. And so that tells me that my time here is drawing near. And so with the completion of that, I want to make sure that that legacy continues on, and that your legacy continues on, that you don't become just mist in the air that dissipates over time. But now with this, in 2000, actually it was October 2009 that I had that revisit. And then also I had a recent revisit not too long ago as to telling me that I need to pick up the pace because things are drawing to a close. So we'll see what happens here. But folks, you need to take care of your affairs. Don't worry. Death comes to all of us. Some of us will be moving on to another realm in the journey of life and the journey of afterlife. I also want to put some of you at ease who are still struggling with that. There was a movie by Pixar called Soul, and I would really encourage you to look at that movie. While there are some similarities in there, the lessons that are given through Pixar in that movie are valuable. So thanks for joining me today. If you have questions on this subject or matter, or you would like to talk about this in more depth, let me know, and then we can explore this together. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.